Good afternoon. Welcome to GoLocal Live, the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. It is Friday, April 6th, and yeah, it's snowing, so we just have to deal with it. We're going to hopefully brighten up your day a little bit. As we get ready for the weekend, I'd like to say hello and welcome to our first guest, Jordan Becker, the founder and director of Let's Read RI is here. Jordan, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you back, a friend of GoLocal Live. We are talking all about children's literacy, engaging kids in reading, getting them excited about it, helping them read until reading is the reward. Happy to have you back in studio.
Thanks. Good to be back.
So let's talk a little bit about Let's Read RI if people aren't familiar with it. You started things up back in like 2013, 2014. Talk to us a little bit about the organization.
Well, we did it kind of guerrilla style then. It was just sort of an idea.
Read.
Yeah, pretty much. We threw books at kids. But after multiple concussions, we decided there must be a better way to do it. No, so we started doing reading rewards for the kids when they K through 5, when they meet their monthly goals. They get bookmarks that they can redeem with local vendors for treats like pizza and hot chocolate. And then we had a lot of situations where there were a lot of families without the means to have books in the home. Or even the means to get to places to redeem the bookmarks. So we thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and incorporate and get our 501c3 so that we could start facilitating access to books for kids. Because it seemed a little messed up to tell them they needed to read if they didn't have any books to read. So anyways, we started doing that, and it's kind of snowballed from there in a good way. We do kindergarten orientation books. We're pretty well entrenched in North Kingstown, slowly moving into South Kingstown, and hopefully eventually we'll make it up this way. Yeah. So we do a lot of cool stuff. We do one major fundraiser a year, which is what I'm here to talk to you guys about, but we'll get to that in a second. And yeah, it's been good. We've had a lot of really good feedback. And I'm just going to keep rambling until
Well, I'm letting you ramble. I think this is so cool, and it's so great because, and last time we were here, we talked about how kids are kind of entrenched in these things, digital devices, and so really getting back to that book thing. But let's talk a little bit about what you've provided, because over the past several years, you have gathered and given out over 5,000 books to children, over 30,000 bookmarks. Talk to us a little bit about what that's been like and maybe what goals are.
I mean, it's been great. It's been really good. It's a lot of fun to see the kids come in and redeem them, because oftentimes the parents will, they'll let the kids be in charge of the transaction. And for a lot of kids, kindergartners, first graders, second graders, this is really one of the first opportunities that they've had to really earn something tangible. So, it's not something that's been given to them. It's they did something, and as a direct result, they got a prize for it. So to see them come in, and half of them can't even see over the counter, but you see the little hands up with the bookmark waving around. It's super cute. And we like to engage with them too. What did you read? Did you like it? And they enjoy being talked to as not as kids as much as just other human beings. So that's pretty rewarding. It's a lot of fun. And we've gotten great feedback from parents, from the schools and everything. And we've done little writing contests and things like that just to keep it fun. And we team up with the public libraries for some summer reading stuff, because they already do a really great job. So we kind of piggyback on that and try to support them. Goals-wise, I mean, we want to keep doing what we're doing. It seems to be working. We do want to expand. We started sort of a soft rollout last year, but this year we're in 2 schools. With Blessings in a Backpack, which is a nationwide organization with local chapters that in homes where there's food scarcity, they will discreetly give the kids food on Fridays for the weekend. And I think that's awesome, and I think the delivery system is really cool. So we, in 2 of the schools, we're also doing books bi-weekly with those. And so, additional resources will allow us to do that more frequently in more schools. So we're going to keep trying to grow that and expand our reach. And Yeah, I mean that's well, hopefully we'll stay wide at some point.
Do you slip a book in the backpack? Is that how that works?
That's
Blessing
how,
in the
yeah,
backpack?
we don't personally, but we have the lovely people who do the blessings in a
Yeah.
backpack stuff do it for us. Yeah.
I think that's so neat because for many people, owning a book, that's a privilege.
Right.
And so being able to provide access, to provide books, to provide bookmarks, that's a gift that you're providing kids. And some people don't necessarily think of it that way. So to be able to give that gift of reading, of literacy to children, that's pretty incredible.
I don't think it should be a gift. I think it should kind of.
No, it shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah, we're the most powerful country in the world.
Yeah.
It should be a fundamental right, probably. And I mean, Cuba's got a 100% literacy rate, and we don't. So that's kind of an issue for me. But you know, especially with this population, this demographic of K through 5 kids, you know, we have a wonderful public library system in Rhode Island. It's fantastic, but
So
if
good.
you're in second grade, you don't have a way to get there unless you have a ride. So, you know, the school libraries are also great, but if we can have books that readily available for these kids, that I think is really kind of the name of the game. So,
I'm a fan of I actually am not a fan of the audiobooks. My husband is, but our public library system is so great. You can get audiobooks. You can not just check out the physical books, but you can get, it's so great. Ebooks. Yeah. Our public library system is great, but like you said, if you're in second grade, you got to figure out how to work all this. So it doesn't necessarily help. Yeah. Let's talk about, so Let's Read RI is a 501c3 organization, so count on donations and grants, all that kind of good stuff. So you really only did one big fundraiser last year, which is pretty incredible.
We've really only ever done one big fundraiser, and it was the one we did last year, and luckily it went well. So otherwise I wouldn't be here talking.
Otherwise we wouldn't be doing it again.
Yeah, I would be outside the window panhandling. But no, it was fantastic. We got the idea to do a 21 plus spelling bee, but kind of a little like a new take on a sort of the classic spelling bee design. But instead of just having random people, we had it be a team sport. So we had 6 teams, 3 people per team. And last year we ended up with, we had a team of bartenders, a team of librarians, we had firefighters, we had journalists. Actually, we had 2 teams of journalists because we had a last minute dropout, and then a team of doctors and lawyers. And it was just a night of complete absurdity. Yeah, it was, I don't know how we pulled it off, but it worked. So.
It worked, and all the money goes to these great programs that you offer, including providing books and bookmarks for children. So the event is coming up later on this April in Wakefield. Tickets are what, $25 to get in to watch the absurdity, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we've got, you know, we have a returning team of librarians this year, and they were fantastic last year. We've got the firefighters coming back. We've got this time, I believe we're going to have a team of NK teachers versus SK teachers.
Oh, that's good.
Which should be fun.
That's good.
But yeah, no, it'll be a good time. It's cash bar, and we'll have food there, and it should be a lot of fun.
Okay, so the event it's the 21 plus spelling bee fundraiser at the Contemporary Theater in Wakefield, April 21st at 7 p.m. Yes. Okay, so I am a terrible speller. You've had like no sleep lately. Yeah. So are you any good at spelling?
Yeah, I used to be. I feel like since the advent of spell check, I've gotten very lazy.
Okay, so what are some of the words that will be there? Are there themes to the words? Are they just hodgepodge?
We haven't figured that out.
No.
No, we'll
what was it like last year?
The morning of. Last year we used the National Middle School Spelling Bee word list.
Okay.
And we made it most of the way through that. We got almost everybody out, and I think it wasn't until the end of the very final round that we had to start getting creative. And using other words, which are probably not appropriate ones for me to mention on this webcast. Okay. It's that kind of an event. So
it's 21 plus.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I've gotten terrible at spelling.
Yeah, I've never been really good at spelling, and I'm fine to admit that. That's one of the reasons I say I went to broadcast news. Okay, so I thought this might be fun to encourage people to go sign up for the event, or you'll have the team set already, you said?
We do, yeah.
Okay, so we're looking for spectators here.
Yes.
Can people just donate to Let's Read RI?
They can, yeah. Let'sReadRI.org. I think there is a little PayPal button at the bottom if anybody wants to make a donation. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
Okay, so if you're busy that night and you can't go to the event, then you can just donate lots and lots and lots of money. Okay, so to get in the spirit of spelling, I've made up 2 lists of words of some kind of like a Rhode Island theme here, and Jordan and I are going to embarrass ourselves here and do some fun spelling. So I have 2 lists. You get to pick which ones they are. Hopefully you can read my handwriting.
I'll go late pace.
Okay, so if you want, you can ask me one of these words first, and I'm going to do my best.
Oh.
And I will not remember what I wrote.
Oh, man. I can't even pronounce a couple of
I
these.
know, some of them are really hard. A couple of them are kind of easy.
Can you spell Misquamicut?
I'm going to try. M-I-S-Q-U-A-M. Misquam. I-C-U-I-T. See, I can't even remember.
You're really, really close.
Misquamicut.
That last I.
C-U-I-T.
That last I just wasn't supposed to be
It
there.
was.
Nah.
Yep. I kind of lose track of where I'm spelling. Okay, your turn.
That's okay. You would be out.
All right, I'm going to give you this Rhode Island word. I'm going to make you hopefully feel a little bit better. Coffee milk.
Oh, you can give, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a Rhode Island theme.
C-O-F-F-E-E space M-I-L-K.
Ding, ding, ding. All right. Jordan 1, Molly 0.
Do you want another one?
Yeah.
All right. Can you spell Burrowville?
Yeah, okay, I think. B-U-R-R-I-L-L Burrow V-I-L-L-E.
Nice.
All right, I did it.
Back in
It's
the game.
tricky because you have the 2 of everything.
It's a ridiculous word.
Great place. We're going to be scoot over a little bit. All right, your turn. Oh, this one's always kind of tricky when you see it on the sign. East Matunic.
Oh, that's I pass that frequently.
A great place to go.
It is a great place
A tricky
to go.
word to spell.
E-A-S-T M-A-T-U-N-U-C-K.
Ding!
Yes.
Correct. Okay, we'll do one more each.
Okay.
And I wrote one on here, and I'm kind of like, how do I say it?
Yeah, you're going to give me that one, aren't you?
I don't know. I'd rather not
I'm
have
going to
to
be
pronounce
nice.
it.
Foster.
F-O-S-T-E-R.
That's it's a much more reasonable name than Burrowville.
Okay, great. All right. Okay. Hopefully I'm saying this right, and I'm sorry if I don't and I offend people. Pettaquamscut.
Oh, no.
It's pretty much how I just said it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for all your help. P-E-T-T-A.
So far, so good.
Q-U-A-M-S-C-U-T-T.
Yeah!
All right.
All right. See,
That was total fluke.
and I might not have said it right, so.
That's all right.
All right. You want to do one more?
Sure.
Is there one more on there?
We can do one more. Oh,
Okay.
there's several more on
I
there.
know.
I really want to give you this one, but I can't pronounce it. So how about just Weekapog?
Okay. We're just gonna go with how I, which is not how you spell it.
You realize you wrote these, right?
I know. I can't remember.
Relatively recently.
I had to look
Okay.
them up. It was a couple hours ago.
All right.
Okay. W-E-A-K.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop you.
Okay, you spell it. You have to look at the paper.
What? No, I'm looking at it.
I know. What is it?
It's W-E-E-K.
Oh, week.
Yeah.
Man. All right. All right. You get one more.
All right. Why do I feel like this is gonna be a rough one?
No. This list is easier, I think. The Hummocks.
What? I don't even know what that is.
It's a place in Rhode Island.
Where?
I can't remember now.
Okay. Do you need
Like
to spell that?
Barrington?
How about-
I think it's a Barrington-ish area.
The Hummocks?
Yeah.
Can you use it in a sentence?
The Hummocks is an area in Rhode Island.
The worst. H-U-M-M-O-X?
Close.
Oh.
H-U-M-M-O-C-K-S.
Wasn't close at all.
Well, you said the word right.
Okay.
Watch people pronounce it
We
wrong,
don't
too.
give points for that.
I think oh, no, you definitely win. I think that was 4-3.
Okay.
I can't spell or keep track of points.
I'm too tired to add.
I'm
so,
a participation award winner.
I will bring you a participation award next year.
Okay. I like bookmarks.
Oh, okay, I'll bring
For
you some
reading.
bookmarks.
Perfect.
That'll make it nice and easy.
Jordan Becker from Let's Read RI. Thank you. This has been fun. Hopefully you had some fun too.
Oh, absolutely. All right.
So the event is April 21st, 7 p.m. Tickets are still available. If you're interested, go ahead, go over to the website, donate lots and lots of money, and figure out how to get involved so we can increase literacy and get books to these kids in Rhode Island.
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get set up here for our next guest on Go Local Live here in the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here in the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. I'm joined by computer science sophomore Jacob Lycan. He is a sophomore at Brown University. Jacob, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super pumped to talk about this. So Jacob is a member of the Brown Space Engineering Group, and today we're talking about the nano satellite that Tim and several other members of Brown Space Engineering program have built. Today he brought a replica, a 3D printed replica of that satellite. It's taken several years to build this, to get it together, and to have permission. But you guys are launching this with NASA coming up here soon. Before we get into all the details and everything like that, talk to me just a little bit about what this satellite is.
All right, great. So this is called Equisat, and it's a CubeSat, 1U CubeSat, which means that it's 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. And this is a new standard for launching low-cost small satellites. So our central goal for this satellite is to prove that space is accessible to everyone. So the way that we're doing this is we have 4 big LEDs that flash 3 times a minute. So you are actually going to be able to see this once it launches on May 9th. It's going to come out 3 days later. Every time it passes over Providence, you'll be able to see it flashing in the sky. Yeah. So
this is amazing.
So on top of that, the way that we're proving that space is accessible is it is extremely cheap. So all of the parts in this cost about $3,700. So anybody could make their own, theoretically, if they have the equipment and knowledge, for only $3,700. So all of our designs are open source, which means that anybody can find them online. And also, we are teaching kids in Providence about engineering using this. So all of the principles, how to make boards, and just generally like space and general science interest.
I mean, this is so incredible, and you pretty much got all the points you wanted to make right there in that first sentence. So good for you. Let's talk actually about the satellite itself and a little bit about Brown Space Engineering. So this is a program, it's all undergrad students, which one I think is incredible. So we're not talking about NASA engineers, NASA scientists quite yet. I mean, maybe that's the path that several of you are going to take. But over the course of about, what, 6-7 years, students, a group of rotating students, made a plan, thought this is what we want to do, and now have a finalized product and put together this nano satellite. Talk to me about what that course has been like for this group of students to put together something and now to have finally accomplished launching a satellite.
Mm-hmm. So it's been amazing. It started 7 years ago in a class called Design of Space Systems at Brown. It's a high-level engineering class, and the main project is, or the main component of the course is a design project where you come up with a design. And the original idea for this design was that it would flash from space and prove accessibility. That was like the point. But they thought it could be done by 4 students in 1 semester.
Oh, that's a little, well, that's how you say high standards, I
Yeah.
suppose.
7 years later, here we are, and now it's in the hands of NASA, and it's extremely satisfying to see that happen. But it is difficult because every year, new students turn over.
Yeah.
So it's really, like, the engineering is a major part of this, but also the teaching. And that funnels into, like, our ability to teach students in Providence. We have to teach our engineers how to make this in the first place.
So let's talk about the actual materials that are going into this, because I think what's so cool about that is that it's, you know, low cost when you think about it, because we're talking about NASA's budget is huge and sending spaceships, you know, the cost of these things are in the billions of dollars, right? When we're looking at satellites and orbits and rockets and all of this shuttles, the costs are exorbitant. Here we are, we have a very small satellite that the engineering specs are all online that you want other people to be able to access. It's all online, less than $5,000. Let's talk a little bit about the materials.
Yeah, so the main part that you see here is the solar panels. These are all made on just normal circuit boards that we order online. They're like $10
Just get
each.
them on Amazon or something? Like,
Yeah, well, you have to make the design yourself, but once you order them, it's like there's a very standard process.
it's incredible.
Everything is consumer-grade electronics. We just
Wow.
use a $4 processor inside, and the thing that really makes this cheap is that we design it all ourselves. Everything is made from scratch. Everything is just consumer-grade electronics, and it's really, like, the components themselves aren't that expensive.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the flashing. You said these are just LEDs, but very bright. We'll be able to see them from space when they're going overhead. What makes them last as long as they're going to be able to last? How will we be able to see them?
So they get extremely hot. So that's why it's only flashing 3 times a minute. We could leave them on continuously, but they would get up to 100 degrees Celsius. So that's a little hot for all of the other electronics we have around. So they're just normal consumer-grade electronics. They're normally used in industrial capabilities. They're about this big each. So most of the LEDs you see, like on your phone, that's just a tiny, tiny LED, smaller than this, behind a lens that's magnifying it. The actual light component is this big. But since it's all consumer-grade electronics, like everything else we do, it lasts for a long time.
My goodness. Let's talk a little bit about the launch. Yeah, you don't have to hold it the whole time. Your hands will probably get a little tired. So the cube itself is about 4 by 4 by 4, or 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. It's going up with NASA, what, May 9th? Okay, so what will this launch be part of, and what's the overall mission? So you're saying goodbye, it's going to be up there in space. What's the overall program, what's that part of?
Okay, so this is launching on ALANA, which stands for Educational Launch Initiative. This is a NASA initiative that gives people, or gives especially students at universities, even high schools, free opportunities to launch their CubeSats. So this takes advantage of the small size of the satellite. There's a very standard way that has been tested and proven to launch satellites that are that small. So this is done right now for our mission by a company called NanoRacks. They have giant metal tubes that are about this long. It fits 6 of those, and then they have a spring at one end. So this is on the International, that contains the 6 satellites. They put it on the International Space Station, basically on the airlock, and then whenever the astronauts have time to launch it, the spring goes off and the satellites just fly out. So this is a standard convention that a lot of people are using. This is the 23rd launch just of these educational CubeSats, and each one has multiple. So NASA has used this to enable people like us to launch for free. So really all of our costs are just the components.
Oh my goodness. What do you hope to get out of this? We talked a little bit about making space more accessible, but are you hoping to get some data out of this? What else are you hoping to get?
So we are testing, our secondary mission is we are testing these lithium iron phosphate batteries. They're a little bit better than lithium-ion batteries, like the standard ones that you use in your phone, because they can provide a lot more current, which means they give more power, like a lot more power at one given instant. So we're testing those batteries, and it's the first time they're flying in space. So we want to gather that data and then send that back down through an antenna, and just standard ground stations are going to pick it up. Anybody will be able to pick up our transmissions and see how our satellite and our batteries are doing, and we'll be testing those so that hopefully people in the future can use them.
That's so neat. So what happens, how long can we expect for this brown nanosatellite to be up there? And what happens when it's done? Will it just be up there cruising around forever, or does it have an end?
So it's launching from the International Space Station, which is about 400 kilometers above the Earth's surface, depending on just where it is in its cycle. So this is relatively low for a satellite, which means that we'll only be in space at maximum about 2 years. After those 2 years, possibly less, maybe even 1 year, the satellite will go so low in the atmosphere that it will actually burn up.
It burns up.
So you'll be probably able to see that like a shooting star almost. But all of the components have been tested so that we know that once it re-enters the atmosphere, it will burn up and won't pose any danger to anyone on board.
I feel like something like this wouldn't really stand a chance of coming back through the atmosphere. Yeah. Something this small. This is so incredible, so neat. You said people will be able to see it when it makes its way past Providence because of the flashing lights. Do you have estimates of when people might be able to see it if they're out and about?
Yeah, so the rocket that it's going to the ISS on is launching on May 9th. And then the astronauts have to basically manually put it out the airlock themselves. So that'll take a little bit longer. That will probably be sometime in June. But we do have a countdown on our website at equisat.brown.edu. And you'll be able to track our progress there. We're going to track when the launch is, and then after that, when we're going to get launched out of the airlock.
That's fantastic. So we'll make sure to put a link on our website for that, so you can follow along. If this makes you as excited as me, then you can definitely follow along. Let's talk a little bit about the other missions that you have, because like you said, you really want to make space more accessible, and then you also want to be teaching others as well. So this is just one area that the students at Brown Space Engineering have been working on. You really do a lot of outreach as well. Can you talk a little bit about that and why it's important to you?
Yeah, so that's the point of our mission, to prove that space is accessible. So so one of my friends likes to say that we're proving that space isn't just the domain of amazing astronauts and brilliant rocket scientists. Really, anybody can do it. So one of the big things, big focuses of our club is going to local schools and teaching them about STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. And right now we're using this design and everything we're doing to teach students. So we had a big program where we went to middle schools in the past, and we're now planning more focused emphasis on Equisat and our other projects. Another one of our projects, or our branches really, is our high altitude balloons. So these launch about once a semester, so about once every 6 months, and they're really cheap, quick ways for us to test new concepts. So our next balloon launch is going to be testing deployable solar panels. So this satellite only has these 5 solar panels and 1 LED, but what if you need more power? You need more solar panels so that you can gather more of the power from the sun. So our balloon is going to launch a couple hundred kilometers, or no, not a couple hundred kilometers, a couple kilometers up, and make sure that we can deploy those safely in a low atmosphere environment.
I just think this is so incredible, and I think how prominent that you're doing outreach to local schools. And one of my favorite things to talk about here on GoLocal Live is STEM and STEAM within our community, and creating more access and getting kids excited about these opportunities. And what better way than to show them, hey, look, a group of college students have created something that's now going up into space, and you can see it fly overhead, right? Mm-hmm. What better way to get younger people excited about space and the opportunities that are out there than to show them what you did, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Have you, when you go out to schools and you're talking to younger people, and you talk to them about that, when you talk to them about this nano satellite, like, do you feel like they get excited? Do you feel like they think it's cool, or do you think they're bored?
No, they definitely think it's cool. I think in the past it was a little bit harder because we didn't have so
didn't
many
have
like
something.
finished components.
Yeah.
Now that we're gonna have that satellite that you can track, I think next year when we go and say, look at your phone, that is where what we made is, and you can put that there too. I think that's going to be a really powerful tool. But now that we've had finished components, I brought our 3D print, but we also have a lot of other test solar panels and other just components that are on the inside. When we bring those, kids really like to see like, wow, this is space grade. It's so small and like accessible. It really, like you can see, they really enjoy it.
That's pretty inspiring. So before we let you go, like I said before, you're a sophomore. Do you have inspirations, plans for when you graduate? What do you want to do?
No, I have no idea. I came in absolutely sure I was going to be a computer scientist and wanted to do just regular software engineering for Google, Apple, Microsoft. But working on this has really made me inspired by space. And now I think I might go into NASA. NanoRacks, who we've been working with really closely, they've been a big inspiration to me and I think a lot of the team, just because we've seen like how cool their jobs are, and getting to work with teams like us would be great.
Yeah, well, I think the opportunities for you are open. I think you have good potential ahead of you. So Jacob, thank you so much for joining us here today. This has been so fun for me to talk about and hopefully pretty educational for you. And again, we'll provide the link to all things so you can stay updated on this very small satellite, very small but powerful satellite. So thanks again for joining us. We're going to get set up here for our next guest on GoLocal Live. Hang tight. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here on GoLocal Live, the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. I'm now joined by Cynthia Navarro. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Molly.
I'm very excited to have you here in studio today. So Cynthia is with the Puerto Rican Professionals Association of Rhode Island, and the organization works to unite, support, and empower Puerto Ricans in Rhode Island. So we're going to talk a little bit today about the informational fair that the association is putting on later on in April. So we're going to talk all about that. So let's start off by talking about why the informational fair is important. Talking about why the organization is hosting this fair and why it's important to get out correct information, accurate information to people.
Well, Molly, thank you so much for having us, first of all. And I'm glad that you asked that question because of Hurricane Maria, we know that many families have decided to move to the United States, specifically Rhode Island. And we noticed in the Puerto Rican Association of Rhode Island that we were helping a lot of families with pretty much informing them, informing them where to go. If they were looking for English as a second language classes, they didn't even know where to begin. So we noticed that they were very uninformed about simple things, just like where can I go to change my identification card, and the whole process behind not just having that reciprocity among the DMV in the United States and the one in Puerto Rico. It's another process that if we had to get educated, with the process so that we could explain it to them because it's very complicated. And so we kept noticing this pile of, emails and notes, and where can I go to get, this information for my children, or where can I go if I am a patient and I need a dialysis. And so we think it's very necessary for the families who have moved to the state of Rhode Island to know where to go and to know all the agencies that this state has in place to help them, to provide support, and also to guide them.
So let's talk a little bit about what will be at the informational fair. Again, this is Saturday, April 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the John H. Rollins Center in Providence. Address is 325 Ocean Street in Providence. And of course, we'll have a link to this as well as the address and whatnot online. But let's talk a little bit about what the information is providing and why that's important, because this was strategically planned out. What type of information will be there? Which agencies will be there? Talk about a little bit about the strategic plan that went into this.
So we have, in the association, we have different teams. And we decided that one team really had to decide what information was needed, and then we planned agencies and obviously a focal point so that it's not a lot of information, but nothing to keep up with the people who come during that day to see the progress of this. So we have, for example, we have people from Providence Schools. We have a representative who's going to come and join us Saturday, April 28th, and he's going to explain what is the process, what documents need to be in place for the student to join the Providence school system. We will have people from the Bank of America, for example, to explain what needs to be done in order to open an account. We will have physicians who will provide information about where to go if they are current patients of a specific treatment in Puerto Rico, and how they can continue that here, which is so important. So we have from all different fields. We have from education, ESL programs. We have Bank of America. We have a credit agency that can help them continue building their credit and work with lapses of unemployment, perhaps. We will have representatives from agencies from the community that can help with, for example, the Rhode Island Food Bank. And so we have all these different agencies. We actually have about 32 that are trying to give these families the tools so that when they decide to establish themselves here in the state, they know what they can do, where to go. If they want to learn English, we have about 5 different ESL programs who are going to be there. There will be employment agencies guiding them and telling them where to go, what documents they need. Like I mentioned before, the bank, the credit agencies. We will have representatives from Progreso Latino, which is an organization that helps you with anything related to migration policies. They help you with establishing yourself in different sections of Providence, but also the state. So housing representatives will be there too. And like we mentioned, we're just trying to put all these agencies together to help those families who have moved to Rhode Island recently. But then we realized once we set the team and we noticed that all these agencies were trying to help, we realized that this is actually beneficial not only for Puerto Ricans who are moved to the state of Rhode Island, but also families from other backgrounds We have our brothers and sisters from Dominican Republic, Mexico, Guatemala, the crisis in Venezuela. We have a lot of people moving from Venezuela as well. So we are extending our invitation to any person who is either considering living in the state of Rhode Island or who are actually living in the state of Rhode Island and simply want to know what agencies, what resources we have in place so that they can have a successful life in this state.
And I think you make such a solid point there that opening this up to people of all backgrounds as well. What I think is what can be so difficult for people is if you have family here, especially people from Puerto Rico that are coming here, if you have family here, it can make the transition a little bit easier.
Yes.
So that can be helpful. But if you don't know anyone, if you don't have family, it can be so extremely difficult. So an organization that you're involved in, this can mean a lot. So just having someone that you can say, oh, do you remember this place? Or I'm from this neighborhood or something like that. Or just someone that literally speaks your language so you can have a translator or you can get signed up for a class. Or talk to me about why this is so important for people that are coming from Puerto Rico and need these services.
Well, just like you mentioned, you know, a simple detail as you speak my language.
Yeah.
You know, we could have very different backgrounds, and the fact that you speak my language makes me feel immediately at home. It makes me feel capable of transmitting messages that maybe get lost in translation, and with that, your confidence is gone. If you don't have confidence, your chances of getting a really good job are lower. And details like that, like finding someone with whom you can speak your language and really explain, this is my problem, this is my situation, this is what my family and myself included are going through, and we don't know what to do or where to go. It makes a big positive impact in the life of someone who is trying to establish themselves here in the state to help the state. They are moving here with the intention of finding a job, enrolling their kids in school, and continuing with their lives here. Because, as we all know, even though the statistics say that 10% or less than 10% of the population in the island still has no power, we feel that the impact, it's larger than that. The impact on their daily life, the impact on the education of these kids who have been out of school for so long. So it's like this domino effect when you move into a place and you find that there's not only a person who can speak your language, but that can have answers to your questions. And just like you mentioned also, the fact that we have a lot of people who move here because we have family or friends, but we also have a large population who move here because they have a friend who ultimately doesn't really live here, but they establish themselves here, so they are completely alone. And with those in mind, we really want to extend our invitation and say, listen, the original idea came to us because of the Hurricane Maria and because we see so many families moving into Rhode Island. But this is something that can help everyone, myself included. I moved here 20 years ago, and as I was going down the list, I realized, oh my goodness, like all these resources, and there were a few that I was not aware of. So I know that this is going to be extremely helpful to everyone who lives here, whether it's just recently moved or who have been established and living here for perhaps a little longer.
Definitely beneficial. So again, that is coming up. The informational fair is coming up Saturday, April 28th from 10 to 2 at the John H. Rollins Center in Providence. So I definitely think this is great. And sometimes people think, oh, information fair, I don't know, but there's so much opportunity here, so many resources. So definitely take advantage. Tell your friends, tell your family, go over. And like you said, information, health, education, mental health, employment. So many different opportunities, jobs.
Exactly.
So Cynthia was telling us lots of different opportunities there. I do want to shift gears from the information fair to talk a little bit about the aftermath of the hurricane. The Professional Association has been doing a lot. You yourself have been back to Puerto Rico, kind of checking things both personally and professionally. The organization has raised money, has raised donations. Yes. Talk to us just a little bit about, we're almost 7 months after now.
Yes.
More of a slow recovery rather than emergency relief situation that we're in right now. But just give us some thoughts a little bit on what it was like for you to go back to Puerto Rico. And we can talk about it in a professional sense if you want to, or a personal sense. It's up to you.
Yes, sure. Well, personally, the sense of urgency of going back to the island and just physically checking up on my mother, for example. She tends to paint a really nice picture over the phone. Everything is fine, but then when you actually go there and see that, for example, some structures are not safe to be around, that you have, for example, no traffic light working, which is causing many accidents. You see most of the population, when I first went back in December, had no power. And so the first thing that comes to your mind is this desperation of what can I do from here? So personally, it was shocking to go to your island, which in your mind is paradise, and go back and see that, you know, the level of destruction. To think that not one light post, not one tower, communication tower was left standing. Puerto Rico was for 1 week completely incommunicated because all the towers were down. That is something that, living in the Caribbean, we hear hurricane season just like we hear rain or snow here. It's like, okay, we'll deal with it. But to see that level of destruction personally was something that it took me months to really take a grasp of the level of destruction that when you read it is one thing, but when you go back there and you see it, it causes shock in the, you know, sense of I could have never imagined something like this. Professionally, I have to say that it served as a motivation to the Professional Association of Rhode Island to kind of like shift gears and say, we're focused on the professionals here in Rhode Island. It's time to focus on our island, our homeland, and see what we can do. Well, Molly, the reaction from everyone in the city of Providence was unbelievable. We had the expectation of about 1 full truck of donations, clothing, medical supplies, water bottles. We ended up filling up 5 trucks. And we first sent half of the team to Puerto Rico. In December, we sent the first half of the supplies. And back in January, then we sent the other half. And so both personally and professionally, it was really good to feel that even though we left our home back in Puerto Rico, we have neighbors here in the state of Rhode Island and in the city of Providence who turn into family with us. It's the support that we had, the level of donations. It didn't matter if they were Dominicans, if they were Cubans, if they were Guatemalans. They were going to Armando's where we had our drive, and they were bringing bottles and asking us, how can we do, this is all I have, but how can I help? It was so overwhelming that it made us feel like, you know what, we have 2 homes. We have Puerto Rico, but this state and this city is unbelievable when it comes to really show support and stepping up. So it has been so rewarding, personally and professionally, the reaction of the city of Providence.
I mean, that's incredible. I'm just going to let you keep talking because I'm over here crying. And I have to say how rewarding. So, and here we are, almost 7 months out.
Yes.
You said around 10% of the island doesn't have power still, which is what it is. Talk to us a little bit about what else the Professional Association is doing. It's my understanding you've had a scholarship, so just kind of continuing that that giving back to the community and continuing to move forward in this recovery effort in whatever way it is, yes. Hurricane or not. So continuing to promote and thrive.
So we have this scholarship program, and we decided last year that we were going to pick 2 students from the school system in Providence that could show some type of pride for their Hispanic heritage because they don't have to be Puerto Rican. And so we built this list of requirements where they have to write an essay and they have to have letters of recommendation from their teachers. and they have to have a set GPA. And we gave to students the opportunity of earning a scholarship. That it was more like a trial last year. This year it's a lot better established and with more money. And so this is just one way that the Puerto Rican Professional Association of Rhode Island is trying to give back to the community. The same way that the community gave us so much support and supplies for Hurricane Maria and our relief trip to Puerto Rico, we want to let the community know that we want to help in any way. And what better way than empowering our youth and letting them know that education is the most powerful tool they can earn. And so we want to remind them that we value their education, that we believe in them, and I think ultimately with money for their college education is the best way we can say that. So we have 2 scholarships. This year, we are hoping to earn enough money or raise enough money for 5 to be able to help 5 high school students who have been accepted into any post-secondary education institution. So this is just one way that we're trying to give back to the youth of our community.
I think that's absolutely incredible. And like you said, any amount for education is incredible.
Absolutely.
And very worthwhile.
Yes.
If people are interested in going to the informational fair, again, later on this month, we'll have a link to that. If people are interested in donating to relief or interested in getting more information in the professional association, what's the best way to do that?
So we have a very active Facebook page. We have a lot of people sending us messages, especially now that we have the informational fair on Saturday the 28th of April, asking us how can we help? Can we be a volunteer guiding people or setting up tables and chairs for the sponsors? And so they can either like us on Facebook and we answer every single message that we receive, but they can also call my number. My number is, if I'm allowed to give it.
If you really want to give out your number, sure.
Yes. Well, it's the best way for the sponsors to, communicate with me, because sometimes the messages, we have so many people looking into them that I assume someone else answered. So if you want to receive more information, feel free to call 401-419-7854, and we will answer all the questions. If you have questions from how to get involved or how to help, feel free. Again, the number is 401-419-7854, or you can like our page on Facebook, which is the same initials. It's Puerto Rican Professionals Association of Rhode Island, and we answer all of the messages.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for all that you've done within the community.
Thank you,
And
guys.
the informational fair looks to be fantastic. So
Yes.
again, open to many communities.
Yes, please.
So thank you so much for joining us, Cynthia, here on GoLocal Live. We're wrapping up. Kate Nagel kicks things off here in just a few minutes with all things news, politics, and more. I'm Molly O'Brien. We're wrapping up for today. I hope you have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you, Molly.